All right. Well, I have to appear in Boise before before September 4th of 2013. Now, the Idaho Supreme Court, in their opinion, based their opinion on altered documents. If you read right here where it's underlined, even the firm of Anderson, Julian Hall, even states that those records were altered because I had filed a stay of all proceedings, and as you probably have heard in a previous video, well, they accidentally replied to the first one. So, and when they replied to the first one by accident, because the first set that was sent on, let's see here. Well, anyway, it doesn't really matter on this page, but as argued by the appellant in his second affidavit, because the first affidavit was supposed to be deemed mute, by affidavit, the three remaining documents, each entitled Request for Additional Records, were altered. They were submitted to the commission. They were altered after they were submitted to the commission by appellant. The first two preferred documents each reflect face mail date and time stamped on June 5th of 2012. And the third preferred document reflects, well, let me put it this way. These documents are the ones in relation to Lynn /legislator, who was my attorney, who, when the commission did their findings of facts and conclusions of law, made me do something with Lynn off to the side in relation to his lien. But then over here, the state insurance fund sent me this check on May 22nd of 2012 for $11,000. I wrote on the back of it, I disagree, but I cashed it under due to financial hardship, because I wasn't agreeing with it, because I wasn't quite sure what it was. So what I did, darn flies. So what I did is, altered documents that we sent to the Supreme Court. So, to be filed. Now, in their findings of facts and conclusions of law, they're also stating that there were some pages missing from the rehabilitation department, which would include Sandy Basket. So the Supreme Court based their opinion based upon documents that are missing, so they don't have the full report, and altered documents. But then again, I called the Supreme Court up in regards to if there's anything in regards to my claim before the Supreme Court, because in Miss Owens' deposition, where she lied under oath, again, this is all happening, but the Supreme Court based their opinion, but didn't even speak about the fraud that was committing. They didn't speak of it at all in their opinion. The only thing that they really stated was they assume Mr. Clark signed them and gave them permission. I didn't give him permission. Because right here in Miss Owens' deposition, where she also lied under oath, like right here, because we got to go over here to kind of start it. Well, there. Let me rephrase my question, because frankly, I apologize. I misstated that a little bit. This is well, let me rephrase it. I apologize. I misstated that a little bit. The August 1st, 2008 letter is a letter from you to the Idaho Department of Correction requesting records. And it says, enclosed is a signed and dated medical release authorization. Can you tell us which release was enclosed with this letter? Mr. Hall, I'll have the same objection. Referee Donahue, standing objection as noted. Ms. O'Barr, for the records. We have a copy in front of us because she was allowed to do it via telephone, even though I won my order in 2009, but without my knowledge, they had my attorney, without my knowledge, she was able to go ahead and testify via phone, because when I won, I said I didn't want her to be able to say things like this because she didn't have the copy in front of her. But I won. But then I guess they filed something else, and I guess I lost the next time around with my attorney. I had an attorney, but I lost that time. Lynn, a legislator, and I lost it. I didn't even ask him to do it. It does reflect the same language that Mr. Luker just mentioned. Enclosed. Well, no, wait a minute. See, now this is where the referee, standing objection, Mr. Hall. Answer, question. You see, it doesn't say who asked this question. It doesn't say who asked this question. For her to answer the one before that, and then that question. See, it doesn't really say who's questioning these all the way back. Oh, Mr. Hall. And then it comes to Mr. Hall. Do you remember the question, Miss Owens? But then again, if you go back a little bit further, Referee Donahue, I'm going to overrule the objection. I know this was a major issue for Mr. Clark when he was pro se. I think he is entitled to hear from Miss Owens the circumstances under which she originally obtained the records. Mr. Hall, do you remember the question, Miss Owens? The witness, I don't. Oh. Here, let me rephrase it then. Question by Mr. Luker. Okay, here we go. Now, all these questions are supposed to be from my attorney, because there ain't nobody in here on all these other ones. Okay? Now, Miss O'Barr, for the records. I have a copy in front of us of the August 1st, 2008 letter from Jill Owens to the Idaho Department of Correction. It does reflect the same language that Mr. Luker just mentioned. Now, you see, now, why would that statement be in there that Mr. Luker mentioned? Because if this is supposed to be a question by Mr. Luker, then, oh no, this is from Mr. Hall. Okay, this is a question to Miss Jill Owens from Mr. Hall, their attorney. No, because that was an objection. He objected to, oh yeah, okay. So it is still from my attorney. But then again, Mr. Luker's name is in on this mentioned. Enclosed is a signed and dated medical release authorization. It does not have the attachment because the only copy we have is the copy that was forwarded to counsel. So it does not include attachments. Why not? They were supposed to have everything that we had sitting there in front of her during our deposition. Mr. Luker, my attorney. Miss Owens, You indicated that there was a medical release sent to Mr. Clark in April of 2008. Do you have a copy in front of do you have a copy in your file of any release that he sent back to you based upon that letter? Which, what they're talking about by that letter is that they sent me medical release forms on August 15th of 2008. Let's go off the record for a moment while I try to retrieve the extra claim file documents. Counsel stepped out. Mr. Hall, we've now located the sorority's claim file copy of the August 1st because it's my claim, not my complaint. My claim files are separate than my complaint. By Mr. Luker, do you have a copy of that, Ms. O'Barr? We now located the August 1st, 2008 Idaho Department of Correction letter with the attachment release. By Mr. Luker, do you have a copy of that? Yes. What was the date of the release? 6/3 of 08. May 30th of 2008. That's when I went and seen Dr. Hansen for the first time. So I signed a medical release form so Dr. Hansen can send records to Safe Corporation. I mean to the state insurance fund. Okay. I signed a release form, a release form for my private health records to be sent in relation to my arm to the state insurance fund. See, that's the 6/30 that they're not really telling you what month. They're just giving you the number of the month because that's how they can confuse you a little in the writing. And does it have a provider's name at the top, Miss O'Barr? Oh, and then Miss Barr speaks up because we're supposed to be talking to Miss Jewel Owens. Miss Barr speaks out. And for the record, this is not the release form that was sent by the state insurance fund to Mr. Clark. The release that was utilized was the release contained in the original complaint. Now, I didn't sign that in my complaint. That was my signature from Dr. Hansen, okay? Because she doesn't even say whose name is at the top of that. And it's Dr. Hansen's. That's whose it is, but they're not stating it here. Because it wasn't the one that they sent to me on August 15th because there was no way it could have been. The release that was utilized was the release contained on the original complaint. Here we are again, my complaint. Mr. Luker. Is that Miss O'Barr? Miss O'Barr, yes. I'm sorry, Mr. Luker. Could you have Miss Owens testify, please? And not you? Miss Owens, yes. But you don't have a copy of it? Or do I need to make it a record? Mr. Luker, will you attach it as Exhibit 1 to the deposition? Because they're all in on it. They already knew what they were going to do before they got to that deposition. Mr. Luker. Miss O'Barr. Oh, and she speaks out again. Oh, yes. Mr. Hall. Which one are they attaching? The one that's on the complaint? Or the other one? The one that they sent me on August 1st? The witness. I guess that would be me. The one that's on the complaint dated June 30th of 2008. But it wasn't June 30th. Well, it could have been June 30th, but it didn't get filed until July 2nd or 3rd, because that's how I look at it. It's when I received it, and I got the date of when it was filed, not when it was sent to them on June 30th. But that's okay. Mr. Hall. Okay, the commission can take judicial notice, whatever they were meaning by that, because there's two different ones. Question by Mr. Luker. Okay, so Ms. Owens, if I could follow up with a question directly to you. If I'm understanding what the record shows there, the letter that went out on August 1st, 2008 to the Idaho Department of Correction utilized the medical release form that was attached to Mr. Clark's complaint. Yes. Is that a yes? Yes. And that is what is being marked as Exhibit 1 to the deposition. Ms. O'Barr, again, speaks out. The entire letter is the August 1st letter and the attached release. So 2 pages. And he doesn't say, is this Ms. O'Barr speaking again? Because it was to Ms. Owens. Okay, so Ms. Owens, yeah, attached to Mr. Clark. Yes. Is it? Question. Ms. O'Barr. And then she speaks out. And the question, again, should have been to Ms. Owens. And that is what is being marked as Exhibit 1 to the deposition. Ms. O'Barr. The entire letter is the August 1st letter and the attached release. So 2 pages. So you see again, it wasn't Ms. Owens that spoke about it. It was their attorney, Ms. Rachel O'Barr. Mr. Luker, thank you. And if I might ask the referee, is the entire complaint part of the file in this? And then it's got a couple of marks like something else should have been there. But then referee Donahue speaks out and says, it's the legal file for the record in this case. Mr. Luker, right. And so, again, mark, and nothing's there. Referee Donahue, I have access to it. I have, and then they have it, an audible of it. See, like what they got right there, how it's in those parentheses. Let's see here. So you kind of know what I'm talking about. Where was it at? Audible. Right here. You see how it's done? It's in little parentheses like that. Well, I have of it. So, Mr. Luker said, yes, okay. Exhibit 1 is marked. So, if you have access to it, we'll do whatever we need to. In the complaint, because this is a complaint. Mr. Luker, okay, thank you for your examination. Question by Mr. Hall. I have a few questions based on what Mr. Luker asked you. But what they're going to do is they're going to throw a little part in here, and then they're going to throw you off a little. Okay, Mr. Luker, okay, further examination. Question by Mr. Hall. I have a few questions based on what Luker asked you. You indicated that Stone River is between yourself and the pharmacy. That wasn't by your design, was it? Oh, answer was no. And the question again by Mr. Hall. That was somebody that the pharmacy at Albertsons had retained to service their account. Answer was yes, but you see, I had problems also at Ridley's. So are they through the same people? Because again, they were having problems because of Stone River. So I wasn't just having them through Albertsons. That was somebody that the pharmacy, yes. Did you ever tell Albertsons that any prescriptions that were prescribed by any of these physicians were not authorized? No, that's a lie. Did you understand the question? Yes, I understand the question. Question, okay. Did you authorize all the prescriptions at issue? Answer, yes, we have. Okay. Answer, okay. Okay, now this is where he goes back to the records. Answer, yes, we have. Questions, okay. In regards to the form sent to the Department of Correction, was that sent by In regard to the form sent to the Department of Correction, was that sent by a computer? Answer. The August 1st, 2008 letter? Question. Yes. Answer. No, it wasn't. Question. Okay. And when the problem was discovered with the release and the commission ordered new releases, were the new releases sent out and new records obtained? Yes. That is a lie under oath. As I told the Supreme Court at oral argument on June 5th about the records, of medical records that they received from Safe Corporation, and then returned all documents, scanned or otherwise. You know, clearly they have been lying. That's a lie, because they haven't. Because when I went and cleared my name, I mean that name that where I've been in prison prior to 2006, well, that was done after her deposition, which, again, they told me they hadn't received nothing. So, okay. Mr. Luker, okay. Mr. Hall, just a minute. Mr. Luker, oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were done, Mr. Hall. All right. You have become aware of other problems? Other sororities are having with Stone River as far as filling out prescriptions? You see, he started about the Stone River, then he throws that in there about the records again, about getting records from the state insurance, from the Department of Correction. And then when they're cutting it, they throw back in there. All right. Have you become aware of other problems with sorority? You see? So they're covering it up. Oneself. Okay, Mr. Hall, thank you. Okay, I'm not quite sure how the procedure works. Discussion off the record. Prior to the time you did have conversation with Mr. Clark about, and then of course, the thing about my mom's thing is also in here about how, you're trying to say the February and how I cashed this check, and you tried to explain. But you see, it's a contract. The contract was done on January 27th. There was no letter, and it stated that you would pay $150 plus, not $150 for everything. You gave specific things that you're going to do and how much you're going to pay for it. Well, you didn't say how much you were going to pay for the medical cost, where somebody would have to stay the night. But you did say that you would also pay the $150 right out in the contract, but you ain't paid that yet. It's a contract right here in your deposition. And y'all tried to cover it up too as transportation, because my attorney, he didn't even mention it was a contract. Oh no, Mr. Luker, a legislator who contacted the claimant after my 2 years of living hell fighting these guys. He contacts me, and I give him my case, and wait till I show you what he filed that I didn't uncover until after I got my documents out of my storage unit. After I filed my complaint, my appeal, when I tried to move over to Washington. So, the Supreme Court they made their opinion on altered documents, missing records, and, and everything else that I've said is a lie. They didn't even speak about the things that have been posted either. So did I lose that too? So the things that are posted, the slanderous comments, because they confirmed the commission's findings? What about the things that are posted in the commission's findings? Why aren't that stuff? And you haven't discussed anything about the fraud. Other than, that was it. We assume Mr. Clark went ahead and gave permission to have those records. But throughout this, you can see how they're really trying to fight hard to try to put it in between all these other stuff about those records and how they got them Because Mr. Lynn Luker, why didn't you just speak it out? Why did I have to argue about it? You see? You're a quitter. Mr. Luker, I'm going to argue that I'm going to be a voter over there if I'm allowed to vote. I don't know. But it doesn't matter. I'm still going to argue that you shouldn't even be in office no more because you're a liar. You don't defend you use your seat as financial gain. So, see you soon. Take care.